Hello there, I'm Trevor, and welcome back to Minecraft. This is episode number 16, I think. I'm pretty sure this is number 16. Welcome back to my wonderful world. Okay, that might be a bit of an overstatement. But welcome back. It hasn't been too long since my last video. You can tell because all this copper has still not oxidized. But there have been some changes that I need to go over. First of all, in this area over here, you can see that I've done a little bit more decorating. There's some more grass and some leaves, as well as a waterfall there, which needs some glass in front to look like the streams like that one. But I didn't have the materials for that at the moment, and so I'll do that eventually. But even like right here, I added some more grass and some more leaves all around the place. And then over here, in front of the blacksmith, I added a lot more detail because this spot was pretty empty before. So I added more leaves, grass of course, but also I added these little cogs under the ground, kind of to give the idea that this place has more going on than just the main building. There's more going on around the outside as well. But on the top, you'll also see that I added some more colors. So this strip in the front and even on the back, I added some of this warped wood to give it a more darker color in there. It keeps it from being one solid bright color. I thought adding the darker looked really nice. And also on the top there, you can see that was originally just spruce wood, but I added some dark oak to make it have more of a shadow. So the spruce is still in the areas where it would be lighter, like there by the lava and over here by the fire. And so especially at nighttime, it looks a lot like those are the darker patches from the natural shadows. But it really is there to give it more variance, and because it just looked like a big stick, and I guess it is a big stick, but I wanted to have more colors, and I used some signs and buttons to blend it in better than just going from one block to the next. And overall, I think it all looks very nice. But what doesn't look nice is the giant hole in the ground. Yeah, this isn't pretty. But it is necessary, because this is the space that I'll be working in today. So this video is basically a part 2 to my last video, so if you didn't see that one, you need to go check that one out first, of course. And all my other videos, just go watch all of them if you haven't. But if you didn't watch it, then this here is my blacksmith that I built in the last video. And underneath it is going to be a super smelter that I will be building in this video. And all of the materials for that are inside this chest here. It doesn't look like a lot, because it's not really that complicated, but it certainly, it took a lot of brain power to figure this out. And I just realized I'm missing the furnaces, which is a pretty big part of the smelter, so I can't not have the furnaces. There we go, that's much better. And as you can see, there's gonna be 7 furnaces, and that should be more than enough. I don't think I'm ever going to need to do that much smelting, at least not here. Like maybe far into the future I'll have like a giant factory full of all the different kinds of furnaces, but for my needs right now, I just need something that'll smelt 7 stacks of something at a time is more than enough. But I guess now I can start grabbing all of these items, and I can go ahead and start building this thing. It's a very unique design, I feel. I made this design myself. I did do a lot of research for this topic since I've never done one of these before, but none of the designs that I saw I fully liked, so I kind of just took inspiration, but the overall design is my original idea, so it's probably been done before. It's not a crazy original design or anything, but it is my design, so no one can say that I stole from them. Anyway, this is a very complex build, so I want to get started on it right now. Okay, that's everything. That was a lot simpler than I thought it would be. I guess since I've already made it once, it wasn't that bad to make it again. But yeah, it looks about the same on the top here. You can kind of see where the hoppers are and the dropper over here. There's also this new light, which this is a waxed bulb. Wait, is it waxed? Okay, now it is a waxed bulb. And that basically tells me if the machine is working or not. If it ever stops working, this light will go off. But if I go ahead and go down here to the underbelly, you'll see it's very cramped down here. I'm going to do my best to try and explain what each part of this is. So obviously this is the main component here with all the hoppers and the furnaces. If I can get on the rail... Oh no. If I get on here... Okay. There we go. You'll see this is the hopper that brings the input in. And essentially what this little component here does is it reads whenever there's an item in this hopper, and whenever there is, it'll start this minecart going. And as long as there's items in here, this will keep going until it's been emptied, and then it'll go back to its resting place. And the reason it has to be in front of the minecart is because if it was on top of it, it would just immediately suck up all of the items and not even give a pulse here, and it would just sit there. So it needs to be one block back so that it actually has a second to catch up and hit this signal and then go. And then once it goes, it'll evenly distribute the items. I say that sarcastically because it doesn't evenly distribute them. I don't know what determines where the items go, but it's not exactly even. That's okay, I guess. It's pretty close to even. And then over here, there's the same exact component, just over here instead, and this is the fuel input. This is where I'll put the coal, and then this will run along here and put the coal inside of here. Of course, also not evenly distributed. And then down on the underside, this is where all of the cooked items go, and they get sent into this dropper here. Now this is where it gets a little more complicated. So whenever there is an item in one of these droppers, or in the bottom one, let's say I cooked 9 pieces of redstone, you'll see it'll start firing off. And basically what happens here is this comparator reads that there's an item in this dropper, which sends a signal to this pulse extender, which leads over to this torch, turns it off, which unlocks this repeater here. And this repeater is just hooked up to a redstone clock, which will continuously fire off all of these droppers here. And the reason there is this pulse extender is just so that the items can make it all the way up. Since there's 6 droppers here, they have to be firing off for a little while, or else it'll just be like, it'll just go up 1 dropper. Let's see, if I look at all of these, all the redstone was able to make it up to the top. If I climb back up here, there's my 9 redstone. Didn't realize it was nighttime though. Don't want to get snuck up on. And the reason for there being 2 ladders here is so that on this side I can go down here on this side of the furnaces, and I can go around through here, but it's nicer to just have an option to go on the left or the right. And this last feature here is just to tell me if the machine is working or not. Originally I wasn't going to have this, but I realized that Minecraft is kind of janky sometimes and redstone clocks just stop working, so I have this lever here to turn it back on. This right here will tell me if the redstone clock ever just stops working. You see this is another pulse extender, but it works kind of like a beating heart, where the redstone clock is the pulse and it keeps it alive, but if that pulse ever gets cut, it'll eventually die out, which goes and turns off this copper bulb. And then once it's turned back on, the copper bulb is back on. So that is the full machine complete. However, I have not tested this, so I probably should do that. So for this, I'm going to put 2 stacks of coal in. I'm going to gather a whole bunch of potatoes, because, you know, this is what I eat. And we'll see how this goes. Alright, so here is where I will put the raw, the cooked, and the fuel. So I'll go ahead and start putting this coal in here. And if I go down here, this should be firing, as you can see. If I can catch this hopper, you'll see it'll pick up about 7 items, and then it'll go take them and put them through here. So all of these should have around the same amount. So far, so good. And then I'll go up here and I'll also place in my potatoes. If I go down here, we can see Now they're both going. And all of the furnaces are cooking, except for that last one, took a second. Yeah, the last one always has the least, since sometimes it only picks up 6, other times it picks up like 9, I don't know, it's random. If I look in here, I've already got a whole bunch of potatoes ready for me. I don't even have to do anything, I just put them in the chest, and I sit back and I wait. We got some potatoes still going in, but the fuel has already finished going through. I've already got half a stack here. These droppers can be kind of annoying, the way they keep ticking like that, but they do eventually stop. I'm assuming there's some kind of programming that stops them from making the sound too much. Although now they're making me sound like a liar because they're going constantly. But it's not too bad. It just means that it's working, you know, it's a good sound. It's a good sound. But here it's been about a minute, and I've already got my first full stack of potatoes now. So of course, in order to keep it running, I have to be nearby. I don't have to be like right next to it for it to work, which is good, because I can just leave that running while I go put these up, while I prepare for the next thing that I'm going to be doing in this video. Yep, it's not over. In this chest here I have a lot of items that will be used for different but similar purpose. With my videos I like to have some kind of theming with them all. So of course if I'm building a machine in this video, then the rest of the video is also going to be some kind of machine. I believe all of the potatoes are done. The machine's still on and working as it should. And I can now just leave this, and whenever I need to put more stuff in the furnaces, I just go drop them off. I don't even need to put more coal in because there's still plenty from this batch. So I can just drop them all off. And that's it. I'm very happy overall with my blacksmith build. It's definitely one of the best things that I've built probably ever in Minecraft. I can gather some of this copper. I wonder if this is all going to be done by the end of this video. Honestly, probably not. So when I was over here earlier showing off this section, you might have noticed these weird pillars up here. And these are for a very specific purpose. In the last video, after I died, I respawned and saw a bunch of lightning striking over in this area. And that was because of this guy right here. It was striking this this copper lightning rod. That's what it's called. And so that made me realize I have a lot of very flammable builds here in my world. For example, the giant hat up there is made out of wool. My house is entirely made out of wood, so that could all burn down. That's also made out of wood over there. And then I also have this new section of wood right here. That's only in my little base area here. Of course, I also have the flags and my 100 sign over there, which you can see I will be building something over there as well. So that's why today's video, I want to also build lightning rod towers. And what are these going to look like? Well, it would be weird if it was just some giant tower with a lightning rod on top. So I'm going to make it kind of look like a radio tower. And so I have a very specific design in mind for this. And I'm going to be building 3 of these. One of them right here, one of them over by the 100 sign, and then the last one is going to be over there near the village, kind of in the woods back there. You can't see it, but there is a little base back there for them, just like the one up here. So I'm going to get started on this right now. Ugh. Again? Really? I was just looking for a piece that I lost. There's a block that I broke on the top of one of the towers, and I was just looking to try and find where it went, and I thought it might have fallen in a cave, and there were 4 creepers and a witch. But I couldn't find the block. No, I don't know where that went, but Goodness. At least I didn't lose my stuff, and I only lost, what, 5 levels? Is that a skeleton? Of course it is. Okay, I can safely say it's not down here. I just need to get out. By this point, it's probably despawned anyway. Anyway, back to building. Sure is a great view from up here. You can see my whole little town over there, including the new blacksmith and the new towers. Alright, well, these towers were a lot harder to build than I expected. It makes sense because they're very thin, and any block that you break is of course going to fall to the bottom. So there is a lot of up and down, but overall I think it's going to be worth it because now I don't have to worry about anything burning down. I don't have like radio stations or anything on here, but they're basically like radio towers. And I think this one over here in particular looks really good next to the 100. And yeah, this one looks good as well. The only one I'm not like 100% sold on is the one over there because it's kind of just in the middle of the woods. I like how this looks up there with the tower behind the crops and everything. I'm gonna have a very hard time picking a thumbnail. I really like this shot here with it in the background, but the one over there just looks so good as well. I don't know. But yeah, there's also this one over here. You can see it. It doesn't look too bad over there. It's just kind of random. But that should be able to protect the village from any lightning strikes, as well as hopefully that tree. And then this one should cover everything else in this area. I think at least. You know, I didn't do a giant experiment to find out where to put these. I just kind of guessed where they would need to go. So I'm hoping they keep everything safe. But with that, that's the end of this video. I kind of want to do a little bit of a shorter one this time, just with a few smaller builds. But I think both of them are very, very important builds. Let's see how much copper is left. There's still 5 pieces. But hopefully, surely, by the time of the next video, these blocks will be gone. But that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the future.